But ultimately, getting started in talking about what generally Copilot is. And we can see here all of the different services that Copilot is involved in. Today, we're just going to talk primarily about the modern work, the Office 365 applications. You can kind of see that at the bottom, or the 6 o'clock piece down there at that big wheel. But just know that if you are an advanced Microsoft user and you've got things involved in Microsoft Azure, some of the dynamics for maybe CRM, maybe a little bit of the development resources and software development, or as well the browser and search is something that we'll showcase. There are Copilot avenues that do exist in those. And so just be aware that there's a lot more to Copilot than we'll be able to show you today in just our brief demonstrations. But let's break this down into what Copilot actually is, just to put a little bit more context against what it is. And really, we can look at it in three distinct pieces here. We've got the model, the context, and then the data that's going to support the AI. The model itself is actually a ChatGPT model. And so this is the same company as ChatGPT. Their parent company, known as OpenAI, has signed an agreement with Microsoft to allow them to use the GPT model to power Copilot. And that does include the most stable and kind of effective model today is the GPT-4. But also, if you're a personal user of GPT, you know that we have GPT-5, and that is also available through Copilot. So you can switch back and forth between which model that you'd like to use. The context is very important. And so these models have large, training sets, and they can tap into the internet on demand to look up things like what's the weather today. And so they can have live access to the internet. But also what makes it good for business is that we can essentially put in your Microsoft account, or your company's tenant, as we call it in our industry, as an additional knowledge source. So you think about how these models are trained, and it's a snapshot from the internet, and it has these public resources. Copilot allows you to securely and privately connect all of your company's data into these AI systems. And that specific data is going to go down and be things like your SharePoint, your OneDrive, your Outlook for emails, your Teams for messaging, shared documentation. And what's really nice about Copilot is the security permissions are not going to be very complex. They're going to be the same as what you as a human have access to. So my name is Tom, and if I have access to this SharePoint site, and then I have access to my Outlook and my Teams as a human, that's what I need to do my job, so does my Copilot. But Sydney works in my company's organization, and I don't have access to Sydney's emails or Teams messages on a regular day. So my Copilot cannot access her emails and her Teams messages. But Sydney and I are in the same department, and so sometimes we'll collaborate and work on a document or a PowerPoint presentation. If Sydney shares a PowerPoint presentation with me, just like we can file share today, my Copilot will gain access to that. So it's very nice as far as permissions and keeping those up to date, but also something that you should be aware of. If potentially you're a smaller business and kind of everybody has access to everything, you might want to go in and review some of those SharePoint permissions, or again, reach out to Wesley and the network IT team to have a permissions review and just double check that everybody only has access to what they need to have access to. Continuing on here, so we can get over to Sydney's demo, which will be much more exciting than my slideshow, but I did want to talk about something outside of the technology and the business, and this is something known as Microsoft Responsible AI. These 6 core principles are built into 100% of Copilot interactions. And again, this is going to be different than what ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of those other ones have, because Microsoft has had these 6 core principles around for over 15 years. If you're familiar with Microsoft systems, you may remember something called cognitive services. It was the early chatbots inside of Microsoft Azure. And so Microsoft has been putting together these responsible AI practices well before the generative AI wave came out currently that we see. But all 6 of these principles are essentially run on you can almost think of it like a shadow prompt. And so every single interaction for you and your employees into Copilot is going to make sure that these 6 core responsibles are all accounted for. Again, something that a business level AI should have in place. When we get into personal use of AI and different things like that, These protections aren't always there, but as a business, it's up to us. And really that, bottom right, the accountability needs to remain in place. If you're the business owner and you're thinking about putting AI in the business, potentially, if something goes wrong, we can't blame the AI. The humans need to take accountability. And so that's what these 6 core principles are fantastic. One of the things I'll say to you as well is that if you have not put in an AI policy in your business, I would look up these responsible AI principles, as these make a great baseline to put in an AI policy in your business. But continuing onwards, I've got just one more slide before I'll turn it over, and I'll show just one thing from my slide here, Sydney, before I show it over. But as you can see on the screen, these are some of Copilot's capabilities. There are so many different things that we go into and that we can see on a daily basis. I know Sydney and I are working in this, and every day we find something new, it seems like. Just know that there's a lot of different features across a lot of different applications, and hopefully you're seeing something new that you didn't think, I didn't know that AI could do that. And the big one for me that I'll talk about, just because it's a little hard to showcase in the demos, but up there in Outlook, about 5 or 6 over there on the right side, it says, following meetings I can't attend. What that means is I can send Copilot to a Teams meeting on my behalf, and it can go ahead and take notes. It can give me the summary. It can provide any task action items. And so for those of you with busy schedules, this will be a huge impact. And, right now it is a good example. I work for Pax8, but I'm talking to all of you right now. So I'm on an external call. This is more important for me to be here as a human. So I'm here. Potentially my department is having like their weekly sync meeting, or maybe there's some product training, or another department giving us some training or something. I could send my Copilot right now to that meeting, and then I don't have to go back and watch a big long hour recording. I can just get the summary notes really quick and see if they mention me, or if there's any task items, if they're saying, oh, Tom needs to get this document in next week, or whatever that might be. Lots of really, really good examples and capabilities in there. But yeah, and kind of moving on here, I think, we'll go ahead and hop over to the live demo so we don't keep you here for too long. But I did want to show you a little bit about what Copilot looks like before I turn this back over to Sydney, just because she's much better at demoing this than I am. But this is what we get when we log into Copilot through the web browser. You can also access these same features through Teams and Outlook as well. But here at the top, you can see I've got the work and web tab that come with the license. And then down here is connecting into some of my systems. And so there's my boss, Alex Chestnut. And if I were to click on that, it would find my next meeting with Alex and give me notes. Or, we love talking about Microsoft in my business. And so you can say, oh, hey, it looks like, would you like a recap of our Microsoft Mondays and going on in there? So it really is a helpful window beyond just another search engine. Up here at the top, you can see this is my GPT-5. And so I can turn the GPT-5 on or off, just because it's a little bit of a newer engine. We want to make sure that we use the best tool for the job. And then also, if I were to click on the web tab, this will point it a little bit more into, kind of a web-facing type environment, versus if I click on the work, it's going to point it more towards my SharePoint and OneDrive. One question we always get, and I'll show you here very quickly, is up here at the top right. I can come down and there is the whole internet right there. And so I know it sounds a little silly, but I can actually turn off the internet from my Copilot. So if I disable the web search and I'm on my work search, now when I type into Copilot, that is only going to showcase work-related items. And so it's not going to go out and it's not going to hallucinate. It's going to be very, very stable. But the real reason I wanted to show you the screen really quick was the protections and the security in place. That's the theme of today's kind of webinar is talking about the future and the roadmap, but we have to do that securely. And I just wanted to show you right here something known as enterprise data protection. And so you see, if I click on that little icon, it takes me into the Microsoft documentation. And I'll put this link in the chat so you can review this further. But I wanted to show you these 5 bullet points here and just quickly discuss what they cover. And what we're looking at here, by the way, covers 100% of Copilot interactions. And so this includes the free version of Copilot. There's a free web-only version of Copilot that it's not able to access your Microsoft data, but it is going to be secure. And then you've got the licensing as well as agents. But here we can see that the same encryption at rest and data isolation is in place for this. What this means is this supports the same security protocols as your SharePoint and your OneDrive. If you trust sensitive information in your SharePoint and OneDrive, Copilot uses the same system, is what that is saying. The privacy, of course, and we heard Wesley and Nick kind of talk about some of the privacy aspects there. And of course, GDPR, very, very critical for us. The EU data boundary, there's ISO certifications, as well as the data protection addendum. All of those included into Copilot by default. And so just know it's very, very private as well. Access controls and policies also apply to Copilot. So some of you may be using a version of Microsoft that includes things like sensitivity labels or retention policies. Those are really fantastic features of Microsoft to be able to label a document confidential, or if you're in the healthcare industry, it must expire after 7 years or whatever those time frames, or 90 days, kind of retention of time. Copilot also is going to respect those with using and creating information. Copyright protection is always there for you. So if you do create any images, you can use these for your business. You can use them for branding, for profit, for LinkedIn, whatever that might be. But just know that, it's going to be protected, and anything that you create with the AI is considered your intellectual property, and Microsoft has a nice copyright commitment there. Okay, so the number one reason I wanted to show you here, this is the most powerful thing right here, and hopefully my argument against using a ChatGPT for your business is your data is not used to train the foundation models. Every time you or one of your employees uses that free version of ChatGPT, ChatGPT is sponging up all that data. Potentially you violated risk or compliance laws. You're training that. You might be helping out your competitors. Just know that none of that happens with Copilot because your data is not available to Microsoft. It's not sent over to OpenAI and ChatGPT. If I take off my employee hat and just talk to you like a human, I really like this. I like the privacy that affords, that I'm not training the additional models. And again, the last thing before I turn it over to you, Sydney, is that this does include the free version of Copilot. And so again, if you or your employees are using ChatGPT, please stop using that and use Copilot starting today. You can look at the more advanced licensing and the other features that Sydney is going to show you, but right here, your data is not used, and you can still summarize emails and upload documents into there. But I thought that was a very important security piece. But Sydney, I've gone ahead and waffled on a bit too long, so I'm going to turn it back over to you. So go ahead and wow us here with some demo stuff.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just show you my screen. So let me just take you through a few of the 365 apps. So you've seen this slide before. We are going to look at a few like in Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and a bit of the web and the work tab. We call it Copilot Chat. So just to explain this slide a bit more, just imagine each box here would be a prompt or a capability that Copilot can help you with. So for example, let's jump into Word, shall we? So if we go into Word, for example, like this, you're going to see Copilot here at the top of your page. And the first thing you can do is tell Copilot to generate a document for me. So I will say, okay, give me a blog on, let's do cybersecurity. And let's let it generate. So we will have a document that is prepared by Copilot, and then we can use that as a base to work on our project, right? So for example, for cybersecurity, we have about 1.5 pages. That looks good to me. And once it's done, you can see that you have this screen, what's this called? Window. So you can keep this, you can regenerate it, so it's going to run again. You can discard it, or you can also give it more information. So for example, I can say, make this easy to understand for young children. I like to use this as an example because right now it's cybersecurity, right? It's maybe a bit techy. There's a lot of jargon, not everyone might be able to understand this easily. So if let's say I was invited to a school to give a talk to some children, I want to make sure that the message is the same, but maybe I would use easier words or just change the language a bit, right? So now it's about cybersecurity, but it's for children. So just imagine you are presenting to different clients. They might be in different businesses, right? Let's say food and beverage, or maybe in education or finance. So same message, but you want to word it a bit differently so everyone can understand it more easily. Okay, so for the introduction, I could decide, this is a bit too short or make it more formal. I can get Copilot to rewrite this for me. So if we go in here like this, it will rewrite this. And I can also ask a Copilot question. So for example, I can pull up Copilot here. It will always be at the top right of the screen. And I can say, Copilot, can you summarize this document for me? So I am going to let Copilot have a look at the document. So if you have something that is, let's say, 50 pages, you don't have the time to read the whole thing, right? This will come in very handy. So you can get Copilot to read it for you, give you a summary, and then you can then drop into the page you want to get the information you need. So like this, you have a summary, and you can make it more detailed. So Copilot gives you examples as well of what you can do with Copilot. So you sort of have an idea of what you can do next with Copilot, for example. Okay, so once we have, let's say, a document about cybersecurity, I also need slides, right, to do a presentation to these people. So if I go into here, let's try PowerPoint. We can go to this one. It's called Create with Copilot. Let's hit this one, and it will give you a window like this. So let's make another presentation about cybersecurity. And at this point, I can just put in a word like this, or I can also attach some files. So if you have, let's say, Excel file, Word files, a loop, maybe you even have emails you want to attach, just to give Copilot more points of reference, so you can make a document that is suitable for you, right? So now you have this outline. Oh, let me just delete a few. You have this outline, and I can also go in here and let's say I want a section just for password management. I can do that, and I will get sort of like an additional slide here. So it looks good to me. Let me just move things around, and then I will let Copilot generate the slides for me. So at this point, you might think, okay, Copilot, what it's going to do with this slide? So it's going to make you slides based on the instructions you give it, right? So I asked for something about cybersecurity, and also about the sort of design. I will show you in a bit where you can sort of give yourself more control or give Copilot more instructions on this design. So once the slides are done, I will keep this. Okay, and we go into this mode. So looks pretty good to me, right? Cybersecurity, very wow. We have images here. So as Tom mentioned, these are free to use. They are copyright free, so you can use them, for your presentations or your talks, no problem at all. You get speaker notes down here, and you can ask Copilot more questions. So if I go here, so let's imagine I am still preparing for a talk, right? Like let's say to present at this webinar. So I can tell Copilot, hey, can you summarize this presentation for me? So if I go here, I will get Copilot to look at my slides and give me a summary. Just give it a bit of time to run. You might be thinking, okay, there we go. So we have a good summary of the slides. It's also going to tell you, where in this document that it has got the information from. So if I click this, it will bring me to that slide. And since I am preparing for, let's say, this webinar, right? So I could also say, help me prepare for public speaking. give me a list of questions the audience might ask me. Okay, let's see. I think this is a very interesting prompt just because, you know, it has saved my life quite a bit. So if I were to give a lot of like demos or talks like this to the public, I want to be prepared, right? I want to make sure, you know, if someone asks me a question, I can answer those questions. So based on the slides, the Copilot is telling me, okay, your audience might ask you this question, and this, yeah, it just helps me prepare for my talk. To me, that is very, very valuable, very helpful. And also some tips about how to handle the audience. So yeah, it looks good to me. So that is PowerPoint. Feel free to play around with it. The next one we can look at is Excel. So this is sort of like a small table I have here. I want to get Copilot to analyze this for me. So if I go here, there is this small Copilot button here. And right away, you can see that Copilot has a few different skills you can do. So for example, I can say, you know, suggest conditional formatting. Can you give me a summarize with a pivot table? So let's try this one, just to see what Copilot can do. So for me personally, core pivot tables are something that I am not that good at. Like I am not very, very good with Excel. You know, I still have to Google a lot when I use Excel, especially for something like a pivot table. Yeah, it's not my best thing. So now I can ask Copilot, hey, can you teach me? I can learn from this. So pivot table looks like this. It's going to give me some insights, and also, you know, it can say, here's a summary. I can then add this to a sheet like so. So I go in here and now I have this. So if I were to ask Copilot, you know, give me deeper results with advanced analysis, I believe this is going into Python territory, which is something I definitely am not that good with. So yeah, Copilot saying, yeah, I can do Python for you. Let's start. So let's see what it comes up with. So based on this table I have, Copilot is now running some analysis, and it will start to appear in just a few seconds. But in the meantime, I will show you. So if you don't want to press the Copilot button here, you can also go here at the top right. And so there's two. So one is the chat, which is the work and the web tab. It is very similar to what you see in the browser. So like this, the work and the web, and also you have you can start a new chat, put this into Teams as well, or you can just go straight to the app skills, which would be what we were using. So let's go back. It's almost done. Yeah, this one does take a bit of time just because it's you know, doing a lot of thinking. Something like this. So just imagine you can save quite a lot of time in, let's say, Monday morning when you have to prepare this for a meeting. It's going to save your life. Okay, so we have our 365 apps. Those are the main three. I'm just going to show you one last one, which is Outlook. So you can draft emails with Copilot. For example, I can say, tell Wesley that I will go on holiday and we need to have a catch up meeting. So just like that. Maybe it's very early in the morning. I don't, you know, I want to drink some coffee. You know, my brain is not working yet, so I can actually get Copilot to write this email for me. Just like that. It will basically look at the prompt and it will write an email for me. And now some of you might think, okay, this email, you know, people are going to know that I use AI to write my emails. It's going to sound, you know, robotic, just like that. Hello, it doesn't sound like me, right? So you can actually go here to Copilot, sorry, not draft, settings. And you can give Copilot instructions on how to sound more like you or more like a human, if that is what you want. So this is my instructions. I told Copilot, you know, can you write me an email? Always start with hello, use proper English, and be friendly and to the point. So that is what I like to see in my emails. Feel free to write your own. I'm sure you can do a better one than mine. It's yeah, up to you. So once you have this email, you can get Copilot to do more things. For example, make it more direct, casual. You can make it more formal. So if I were writing this to, let's say, a colleague in my team, we are just having some light-hearted chat. We can make it less formal. This is very, very formal. I want something that's a bit more friendly, warm. So let's have it right. Yeah, that looks good, right? That sounds so much better. So I can now send this to Wesley, and he's not going to think that I am using AI, hopefully. Okay, so we have this email, and the next thing is we can go to an email. Let's say this one. So maybe it's about a very long email from months ago. There are maybe 20 emails that in the chain that I don't want to read. I can actually get Copilot to summarize this for me. So at the top, it will give me a good summary, and then I can use this to draft the reply. It's a bit slow, I think, because I'm presenting to so many people like that. So we will jump to the next one and come back in a bit. So here we have this meeting. So as Tom mentioned, you can send Copilot to a meeting for you. For example, if you wanted to join this webinar, but you don't have time, right? So at the top here, you will see Copilot is giving me a few suggestions on how to prepare for this meeting. I can, ask a question, who's attending, or what should I prepare before this meeting? What are the talking points? Is there anything I forgot to do before this meeting? So I can ask Copilot all of that, or I can just send Copilot. So instead of just accept or decline, I can choose following. So it will send Copilot to this call for me. It will give me a transcript, recording of the meeting, and then I can use it to ask Copilot more questions, like what happened in the meeting? Did people mention my name? Are there any, action items or things I need to do? So let's go back and see if that last one is done. Okay, yeah, it's not. Let's try again. Okay, so here we have the summary. So just imagine you have something you want to catch up to very, very quickly. This will get a summary. You can copy this and then you can reply. So if I were to reply, Copilot will say, okay, based on this, it's about penguins. So maybe I can say short and friendly message about penguins. And yeah, you would have your emails done. No more, thinking for 10 minutes about what I want to write. And yep, I think that's about it.